Dr. Elena Vasquez stood in the burning rain of Kepler 442b. The drops fell like acid tears from the dark orange sky. Each drop that hit her skin felt like tiny needles. But Elena did not move. She could not move. Behind her, the human research station was nothing but fire and twisted metal. The Zephyrian warships hung in the sky like black vultures. Their massive forms blocked out what little light came from the distant red star. Elena watched the ships through her tears. She had failed. Everything she had worked for was gone. 3 years ago, Elena had arrived on this planet with hope in her heart. She was part of Earth's first real attempt to make friends with the aliens. The Zephyrian Empire ruled most of this part of the galaxy. Humans were new to space. They were weak. They needed allies. Elena's job was simple. Study the plant life on Kepler 442b. Show the Zephyrians that humans could be useful. Prove that humans deserve to live among the stars. It had seemed so easy back on Earth. Now Dr. Sarah Chen was dead. Dr. Marcus Williams was dead. All 37 members of the research team were dead. The Zephyrians had come without warning. They had attacked without mercy. They called humans vermin and parasites. They said humans had no right to exist in space. Elena fell to her knees in the acid rain. The chemicals in the water burned through her clothes. Her skin turned red and raw. But she felt nothing. The pain in her heart was much worse than any physical hurt. "Why?" she whispered to the empty air. "We only wanted to learn. We only wanted to be friends." High above in the command ship, something watched her. Thane Korath stood at the observation deck of his flagship. The Zephyrian was 7 feet tall with gray skin and golden eyes. His people called him the Alpha King. He had conquered 12 different species. He had never lost a battle. Korath should have felt nothing as he watched the human female. Humans were insects. They were so weak that one Zephyrian soldier could kill 10 of them without effort. Their ships were slow and primitive. Their weapons were like toys. Yet this one human interested him. The female did not run. She did not beg for her life. She did not try to hide. She simply knelt in the poison rain and wept. There was something in her sadness that Korath had never seen before. It was not fear. It was not anger. It was something else. Something that made his chest feel strange. "Commander," said his second-in-command, General Vex. "Should we finish her?" Korath did not answer. He watched the human female touch something around her neck. It was a small metal object, a picture of some kind. She looked at it and cried harder. "What is that she holds?" Korath asked. General Vex checked his scanner. "It appears to be an image of other humans, possibly family members, sir." Family. Korath knew that word. Zephyrians did not have families the way other species did. They were born in military breeding centers. They were raised by the state. They lived for war and conquest. The idea of caring about other individuals was foreign to them, but this human female was not thinking about herself. Even facing death, she thought about others. Even in defeat, she felt love for people who were far away. Korath had never seen anything like it. "Sir?" General Vex waited for orders. Korath made a decision that would change everything. "Prepare a transport. I am going to the surface." "Sir, we have orders to eliminate all humans on this world." "The orders say to eliminate the research station. The research station is destroyed. This one human is not part of the station anymore." General Vex looked confused. "I do not understand, sir." Korath did not understand either. Something about this human called to him. Something about her refusal to break, even in the face of total defeat. He had spent his life studying war and conquest. This human showed him something he had never seen before. "Prepare the transport," he said again. "That is an order." Elena did not hear the transport ship land behind her. She was lost in memories of home. The picture in her hands showed her parents and her younger brother. They had been so proud when she joined the space program. They had called her brave. They had said she would make history. Now she would die on this alien world. Her family would never know what happened to her. They would wait for letters that would never come. They would hope for a return that would never happen. Human. The voice was deep and strange. Elena looked up slowly. Standing before her was the largest alien she had ever seen. His gray skin was covered in scars from old battles. His golden eyes seemed to glow in the dim light. He wore the black armor of a Zephyrian commander. Elena should have been afraid. She should have run or begged for mercy. Instead, she felt only emptiness. "Are you here to kill me too?" Korath studied her face. Up close he could see that her tears mixed with the acid rain. Her skin was burned and blistered. Her clothes were torn, but her eyes still held that strange light, that stubborn refusal to give up completely. "What is your name?" he asked. "Dr. Elena Vasquez," she said. "Not that it matters now." "Elena." Korath repeated the name. It sounded strange in his alien voice, but somehow right. "I am Thane Korath. Some call me the Alpha King." Elena knew that name. Every human in space knew that name. The Alpha King was death itself. He was the Zephyrian who had destroyed the colony on Tau Ceti. He was the one who had crushed the rebellion on Proxima B. He was the most feared warrior in the galaxy. "Then I suppose this is an honor," Elena said with bitter sadness. "To be killed by the famous Alpha King himself." Korath did something he had never done before. He knelt down in the acid rain beside her. The chemicals that burned her human skin did not affect his thick Zephyrian hide. He looked into her brown eyes and saw something that shook him to his core. "I am not here to kill you, Elena," he said softly. "I am here to make you an offer." Elena stared at him. "What kind of offer?" Korath reached out with one massive hand. Gently, he touched her face. His fingers were warm despite the cold rain. "From now on, you are mine," he whispered. "My responsibility, my curiosity. I want to understand what makes humans different. You will help me learn." Elena felt something stir in her chest. Not hope, exactly. But not despair either. "And if I refuse?" "Then you die here in the rain," Korath said simply. "And I never learn what makes a human weep for others even when facing death alone." Elena looked down at the picture in her hands. Her family smiled back at her from across the light years. If she died here, their sacrifice would mean nothing. But if she lived, maybe she could still find a way to help her people. "What would you want from me?" she asked. "I want to understand," Korath said. "My people conquered yours because we believed you were weak. But I have never seen weakness that could face destruction with such dignity. I want to know what that means." Elena studied his face. Behind the scars and the golden eyes, she saw something unexpected: loneliness. The Alpha King, the most feared warrior in the galaxy, was lonely. "I will come with you," Elena said finally, "but not as your prisoner, as your teacher." Korath smiled for the first time in years. It was a terrible smile full of sharp teeth, but his eyes were gentle. "Yes," he said. "My teacher." He stood and offered her his hand. Elena took it and let him pull her to her feet. The acid rain continued to fall around them, but somehow it did not seem as cold anymore. As they walked toward his transport ship, Elena looked back one last time at the burning remains of the research station. Her colleagues were gone. Her mission had failed. But maybe, just maybe, this was the beginning of something new. Maybe one human and one alien could find a way to build a bridge between their peoples. Maybe understanding could grow from the ashes of war. Or maybe she was just a fool walking toward her doom. Time would tell. Elena woke up in a room that was bigger than her entire apartment back on Earth. The walls were made of smooth black metal that seemed to glow with its own light. Through a massive window, she could see stars rushing past like tiny diamonds. She was aboard Korath's flagship, the Void Hunter, the most feared ship in the Zephyrian fleet. Elena had studied this ship in her military history classes. It had destroyed entire fleets. Now she was living inside it. The bed she lay on was huge, built for Korath's 7-foot frame. The blankets were soft and warm. There was a small table with food and water waiting for her. This was not a prison cell. This was guest quarters fit for royalty. Elena touched her skin where the acid rain had burned her. The wounds were gone. Someone had healed her while she slept. Her torn clothes had been replaced with a simple gray outfit that fit perfectly. Even her hair had been cleaned and braided. A soft chime sounded. The door opened without a sound. Korath stepped inside, and Elena was struck again by how massive he was. His golden eyes found her immediately. "You are awake," he said. His voice was deep and rough, like stones grinding together. "How do you feel?" "Confused," Elena answered honestly. "Yesterday I was a prisoner facing death. Today I wake up in a palace. Why?" Korath moved to the window and looked out at the stars. "My people believe that strength is everything. We conquer because we can. We rule because we are powerful. But you showed me something different yesterday." "I showed you weakness," Elena said. "I was crying and broken." "No." Korath turned to face her. "You showed me a different kind of strength. The strength to care about others even when you have lost everything. The strength to feel love even in the face of death. My people do not understand such things." Elena stood up from the bed. She felt small next to him, but not afraid. "And you think I can teach you about that?" "I hope so," Korath said. "My empire is vast. My armies are strong, but I have never felt what you felt yesterday. I have never loved anything the way you love your family. I want to understand." Over the next few days, Korath visited Elena every morning. At first, their conversations were awkward. Elena did not trust him. How could she trust the alien who had destroyed her friends and her mission? But slowly, she began to see past the terrible reputation. Korath was curious about everything. He asked questions about human emotions that seemed childish. He did not understand why humans kept pictures of people they loved. He did not understand why humans felt sad when others died. "On Zephyr, we are born in military centers," he explained one day. "We are raised by the state. We know our purpose from birth. We live to serve the Empire. When we die, others take our place. It is efficient, but is it happy?" Elena asked. Korath paused. "I do not understand that word. Happy." Elena spent an hour trying to explain happiness to an alien who had never felt it. She told him about birthday parties and holidays. She described the feeling of laughing with friends. She explained how it felt to receive a letter from someone you loved. Korath listened like a student trying to solve a difficult problem. "And this happiness," he said finally, "it makes humans stronger?" "Sometimes," Elena said. "When people fight for something they love, they can do impossible things. They can be braver than they ever thought possible." This interested Korath very much. He had conquered 12 species, but he had never understood why some fought harder than others. Now Elena was showing him that emotional strength could be just as powerful as physical strength. Elena also learned about Korath. Despite his fearsome reputation, he was not cruel for the sake of cruelty. He followed orders. He served his empire, but he had never questioned whether those orders were right or wrong. "I have never lost a battle," he told her one evening, "but I have never won anything either. Each victory brings only the next order. Each conquest leads only to the next war. I am successful, but I do not know why." Elena saw the loneliness in his golden eyes. "You have never fought for something you believed in," she said. "You have only fought because you were told to fight." The truth of her words hit Korath like a physical blow. He had spent his entire life following orders without question. He had never chosen his own path. He had never fought for his own beliefs because he had never been allowed to have any. Meanwhile, the crew of the Void Hunter watched their commander with growing concern. General Vex, Korath's second in command, did not understand why they were keeping a human alive. The crew whispered in the hallways about their commander's strange behavior. The Alpha King spends hours talking to the human female. One soldier reported to General Vex. He asks her questions about human culture. He seems interested in her opinions. General Vex was troubled. Zephyrian commanders did not consult with conquered enemies. They certainly did not treat them as equals. This human was having a dangerous influence on their leader. One day, Elena asked Korath to show her the ship. She had been confined to her quarters for 2 weeks. She wanted to see more of the vessel that had once terrified her people. Korath agreed. As they walked through the corridors, Elena saw how the crew reacted to their commander. They snapped to attention when he passed. They looked at Elena with suspicion and fear. But they obeyed without question. "They fear you," Elena observed. "Fear is useful. Korath replied. It maintains order. But do they respect you? Elena asked. Or do they only obey because they have to? Korath had never considered the difference. He stopped walking and looked at his crew with new eyes. They followed his orders perfectly. But there was no loyalty in their faces, no trust. Only fear and duty. Elena saw his confusion. On Earth, the best leaders are followed by choice, not by force. People work harder when they believe in their cause. They fight better when they trust their commander. And how does one earn such trust? Korath asked. By caring about the people you lead, Elena said. By showing them that their lives matter to you. By fighting for something bigger than yourself. That night, Korath lay awake thinking about Elena's words. He had commanded thousands of soldiers. He knew their names and their ranks. But he had never cared about their dreams or their fears. They were tools to him. Weapons to be used and replaced. Elena was teaching him to see his people as individuals. Real beings with hopes and feelings. It was a disturbing thought for a commander who had been raised to value efficiency above all else. But it was also exciting. For the first time in his life, Korath was learning something that was not about war or conquest. Elena was showing him a completely different way to think about leadership and power. The more time they spent together, the more Korath found himself looking forward to their conversations. Elena challenged him in ways no one ever had. She made him question things he had never thought to question. And Elena, despite herself, found that she was beginning to like the alien warrior. Beneath his fearsome exterior, she found intelligence and curiosity. He listened to her ideas with genuine interest. He treated her opinions with respect. One evening, as they sat together watching the stars, Elena asked the question that had been bothering her. Why did you really save me, Korath? Of all the humans you could have chosen, why me? Korath was quiet for a long time. When he spoke, his voice was softer than she had ever heard it. Because in that moment, when you wept in the rain, you showed me something I had never seen before. You showed me that it was possible to care more about others than yourself. I have spent my life taking things. You showed me what it meant to give. Elena felt something shift in her chest. This alien, this enemy of her people, was more lonely than anyone she had ever met. He had all the power in the galaxy, but he had never known love or friendship or joy. What happens now? She asked. Now, Korath said, you continue to teach me, and perhaps I can learn to be something more than just a weapon. Outside the window, the stars continued their ancient dance. But inside the cabin of the Void Hunter, something new was beginning to grow. Understanding, respect, and the first fragile seeds of friendship. Between two very different beings, neither Elena nor Korath knew that their growing bond would soon be tested in ways they could never imagine. Forces were already moving against them, and the galaxy itself would be changed by what they were learning from each other. The emergency alert shattered the peaceful quiet of Elena's quarters. Red lights flashed on the walls. A harsh alarm filled the air. Elena had never heard this sound before, but she knew it meant danger. Korath burst through her door without warning. His face was grim. His golden eyes blazed with urgency. We have found a ship, he said quickly. A human ship. It is dying. Elena's heart jumped. What do you mean dying? The ship is damaged. It is losing air and power. There are many humans aboard. Maybe 300. They sent a distress call before their communications failed. Elena stood up quickly. You have to help them. Korath looked uncomfortable. My orders are clear. All human ships in this sector are to be destroyed. There are no exceptions. 300 people will die, Elena said, her voice rising. Innocent people, families, children, you can save them. I have orders, Korath repeated, but his voice lacked conviction. Elena grabbed his massive arm. Her small hands could barely circle his wrist. You told me you wanted to understand human emotions. Well, this is compassion. This is what it means to care about others, please. Korath stared down at her. In the weeks they had spent together, Elena had taught him about love and friendship and joy. But now she was teaching him about something even more important. The choice to do what was right instead of what was ordered. If I help them, he said slowly, I will be going against direct orders from the Zephyrian High Command. It could be considered treason. And if you don't help them, Elena replied, 300 people will die for no reason. Is that the kind of leader you want to be? Korath closed his eyes. Elena could see the struggle on his face. His entire life had been built around following orders without question, but she had shown him a different way to think about right and wrong. "General Vex will object," he said. "Then tell him it's a direct order from the Alpha King," Elena said. "Tell him you're studying human behavior in a crisis situation. Tell him anything. But please save those people." Korath opened his eyes and looked at Elena. In that moment, he made a decision that would change everything. "Come with me to the bridge," he said. "If we are going to save humans, I will need a human to help me understand them." The bridge of the Void Hunter was a massive chamber filled with control stations and viewing screens. Zephyrian officers worked at their posts with military precision. When Korath entered with Elena beside him, every eye turned to stare. General Vex approached immediately. His gray face was twisted with disapproval. "Sir, surely you are not bringing the human to the bridge during a military operation?" "Dr. Vasquez is here as an advisor," Korath said firmly. "Show me the human ship." The main screen lit up with an image of a battered human vessel. It was a refugee ship, designed to carry large numbers of people in basic comfort. But now it was clearly damaged. Hull breaches leaked atmosphere into space. The ship's lights flickered weakly. Elena felt sick looking at it. "How long do they have?" The sensor officer, a young Zephyrian named Krell, checked his instruments. "At current rate of atmosphere loss, perhaps 2 hours, sir." "Sir," General Vex interrupted, "our orders are clear. We should destroy the ship now and end their suffering quickly." "No," Korath said. "We will attempt a rescue operation. Prepare the cargo bays to receive refugees. Ready all medical teams." General Vex looked shocked. "Sir, this goes against everything we have been taught. Humans are enemies of the Empire." Korath turned to face his second-in-command. When he spoke, his voice carried all the authority of his rank. "These are my orders, General. Prepare for rescue operations immediately." Vex hesitated for a moment, then snapped to attention. "Yes, sir." As the crew rushed to prepare for the rescue, Elena worked beside Korath to coordinate the effort. She knew more about human ship design than any Zephyrian. She could predict where the survivors would gather and how they would behave in a crisis. "The passengers will be frightened," Elena explained to the rescue teams. "They have been taught to fear Zephyrians. When they see you, they might panic. Move slowly. Speak calmly. Show them that you are there to help." Korath watched Elena take charge of the situation. She moved from station to station, giving advice and encouragement. She treated his crew with respect, and slowly they began to listen to her suggestions. The rescue operation was more difficult than anyone expected. The human ship was breaking apart. Rescue teams had to work in spacesuits to reach the survivors. Many of the ship's corridors were blocked by debris. Elena watched the progress on the main screen. Her heart raced every time she saw Zephyrian soldiers carrying human children to safety. These same aliens who had destroyed her research station were now risking their lives to save human refugees. "Rescue Team 3 is trapped," reported the communications officer. "A section of the ship collapsed. They cannot reach the survivors in Section 7. Elena studied the ship's layout on her screen. "There's another way," she said quickly. "Through the maintenance shafts. But the passages are too small for Zephyrians." Korath understood immediately. "You want to go yourself?" "I'm the only one small enough to fit through those passages," Elena said. "And I know human ship design. I can guide the trapped people to safety." "Absolutely not," General Vex interrupted. "We cannot risk the human's life for other humans." "It makes no sense." "It makes perfect sense," Elena replied. "This is what humans do. We risk ourselves to save others. This is what I was trying to teach you about compassion." Korath looked into Elena's eyes. He saw the same determination he had seen that day in the rain. The same refusal to give up when others needed her help. "Very well," he said. "But you will take a full escort team, and you will follow all safety protocols." Elena suited up in Zephyrian rescue gear. The equipment was too big for her human frame, but it would keep her alive in the dangerous environment of the dying ship. Korath personally checked every seal and connection. "Be careful," he said quietly. We cannot afford to lose you." Elena smiled up at him through her helmet. "I'll be fine. This is what humans are good at. We find a way." The rescue mission through the maintenance shafts was terrifying. Elena crawled through narrow passages while the ship shook and groaned around her. Emergency lights flickered. The air was filled with smoke and the smell of burning metal. But she found them. 43 human survivors trapped in Section 7, men, women, and children who had given up hope of rescue. When Elena appeared in their emergency shelter, they stared at her in amazement. "Who are you?" asked an older man who seemed to be their leader. "Dr. Elena Vasquez," she replied. "I'm here to get you out. The Zephyrians are conducting a rescue operation." "Zephyrians?" A woman holding a small child looked terrified. "They're here to kill us." "No," Elena said firmly. "They're here to save us. I know it's hard to believe, but you have to trust me. We don't have much time." Elena led the survivors through the maintenance shafts to safety. It was slow, difficult work. Some of the passages were barely wide enough for the children, but one by one she got them all to the rescue point where Zephyrian soldiers waited to carry them to safety. The last person she rescued was a young girl, maybe 8 years old, who reminded Elena of her brother when he was small. The girl was frightened and crying. "It's okay," Elena told her. "The big alien is going to carry you to a safe place. His name is Krell, and he's very gentle." Officer Krell, the same young Zephyrian who had operated the sensors, carefully took the girl in his arms. Elena watched as his fierce alien face softened with an expression she had never seen before. Protectiveness. Care. "I will keep her safe," Krell promised Elena. When Elena finally returned to the Void Hunter, she was exhausted but triumphant. They had saved everyone. All 283 survivors from the refugee ship were now safely aboard the Zephyrian flagship. Korath was waiting for her in the docking bay. When he saw her climbing out of the rescue shuttle, his golden eyes blazed with something Elena had never seen before: pride, relief, and something else that made her heart beat faster. "You did well," he said simply. "We all did well," Elena corrected. "Your crew risked their lives to save people they were supposed to consider enemies. That's remarkable." Over the next few days, something beautiful happened aboard the Void Hunter. Humans and Zephyrians began to interact with each other. The refugees were frightened at first, but they quickly realized that their captors were treating them with kindness and respect. Dr. Marcus Chen, Elena's former colleague from the failed research station, was among the survivors. When he found Elena in the ship's library, he could hardly believe his eyes. "Elena, you're alive." He embraced her tightly. "We heard about what happened to the research station. We thought everyone was dead." "I should be dead," Elena said. "But Korath saved me." Marcus looked confused. "Korath? The Alpha King?" "Elena, what's going on here?" Elena spent hours explaining everything to Marcus. How Korath had found her crying in the rain. How he had chosen to learn about humanity instead of simply destroying it. How their conversations had changed both of them. "This is incredible," Marcus said when she finished. "You've created the first real communication between humans and Zephyrians. Do you realize what this could mean?" Elena did realize, but she also knew that their situation was fragile. They had saved the refugees, but they had also violated direct orders from the Zephyrian High Command. There would be consequences. That night, Elena found Korath Sta. The attack came without warning on a quiet Tuesday morning. Elena was in the ship's medical bay, helping Dr. Chen treat a sick refugee child when the alarms began to scream. The lights switched to battle red. The deck shook under their feet. "All hands to battle stations," Korath's voice echoed through the ship. "We are under attack by Zephyrian forces." Elena's blood turned cold. Zephyrians attacking Zephyrians? That could only mean one thing. The High Command had discovered Korath's rescue of the human refugees. They were here to punish him for his disobedience. Elena ran to the bridge, pushing past crew members rushing to their posts. When she arrived, she found Korath standing at the center of the chaos, calm and commanding despite the crisis around him. "Report," he ordered. "3 heavy cruisers," replied the sensor officer, led by Prince Draken's flagship, the Iron Claw. "They are demanding we surrender for trial." Elena had heard of Prince Draken. He was Korath's cousin and his greatest rival. Drakon believed that Korath was too successful, too popular with the military. He had always wanted to take Korath's place as the Alpha King. "What are the charges?" Korath asked. The communications officer looked nervous. "Treason, sir. Aiding enemies of the Empire. Corruption by alien influence," the officer paused. "They are demanding that we turn over all humans immediately for execution." Helena felt sick. The 300 refugees they had saved were now in danger again. Worse, Korath was being punished for his mercy, for learning to see humans as people instead of enemies. General Vex approached Korath with a grim expression. Sir, perhaps we should consider their demands. The crew did not sign up for this. We could explain that the humans corrupted your judgment. Put the blame on them. Korath turned to face his second-in-command. When he spoke, his voice was ice-cold. Are you suggesting I betray the people under my protection, General? I am suggesting we survive, sir, Vex replied. 3 cruisers against 1 ship. The odds are impossible. The odds have never stopped us before, Korath said. Elena, I need you in the tactical center. If we are going to fight impossible odds, I need human thinking. Elena felt her heart racing. What can I do? I'm not a warrior. You are something better, Korath said. You think differently than we do. You see solutions where we see only problems. That is exactly what we need right now. The tactical center was a small room filled with holographic displays showing the battle situation. Elena stared at the images in amazement. She could see the 3 enemy ships positioned around them like hunters surrounding their prey. They expect us to run or surrender, Elena said, studying the formation. What would a normal Zephyrian commander do in this situation? Try to break through their line and escape, replied Commander Krell, who had been promoted after his excellent work during the refugee rescue. Or fight head-on and die with honor, Elena nodded. So they're prepared for both of those tactics. What if we did something completely unexpected? What did you have in mind? Korath asked. Elena pointed to the display. They have us surrounded, but look at their formation. They're too close together. If we could make them think we were about to ram one of their ships, they would have to break formation to avoid a collision. But ramming would be suicide, Krell protested. Not if we don't actually ram them, Elena said with a growing smile. What if we make them think we're about to ram, then use their defensive maneuvers against them? Korath studied the tactical display with new eyes. Explain. Elena began drawing on the holographic screen with her finger. We charge straight at Prince Dracon's flagship. When he moves to avoid us, it will create a gap in their formation. We slip through the gap and attack the ship that's now isolated. It's risky, Krell said. If they don't fall for the feint, we'll be destroyed. But if they do fall for it, Korath said slowly, we turn their superior numbers against them. Brilliant. The battle plan that followed was unlike anything in Zephyrian military history. Elena's unpredictable human thinking combined with Korath's tactical genius created a strategy that no enemy could anticipate. All ships, this is the Iron Claw, came Prince Dracon's voice over the communication system. Surrender now, cousin, and I may allow you to die with honor instead of being executed as a traitor. Korath activated the response channel. This is the Void Hunter. My honor is not for you to give or take, Dracon. If you want this ship, come and take it. So be it, Dracon replied. Open fire. The space around the Void Hunter exploded with energy beams and missile trails. The ship shook as enemy fire hammered against their shields. Elena gripped her chair as the deck pitched beneath her feet. Execute Maneuver 1, Korath ordered. The Void Hunter suddenly accelerated straight toward Prince Dracon's flagship. From the outside, it looked like a desperate suicide charge. The enemy ships began to spread out exactly as Elena had predicted. They're breaking formation, reported the sensor officer. Now, Elena called out. The Void Hunter suddenly changed course, slipping through the gap in the enemy formation. Before the enemy could react, Korath's ship was behind them, attacking their weakest vessel. The battle that followed was fierce but short. Elena's strategy had given them the advantage of surprise. Korath's crew fought with a coordination and dedication that amazed the human refugees watching from the safety of the lower decks. But Elena noticed something else. The Zephyrian crew was fighting differently than they had before. They protected each other. They took risks to save wounded comrades. They fought not just for victory, but for the people they cared about. They're learning, Elena whispered to herself. They're learning what it means to fight for something you believe in. The first enemy ship was disabled within minutes. The second tried to flee but was caught and forced to surrender. Only Prince Dracon's flagship remained, and it was now outnumbered. This is impossible, came Dracon's voice over the communication channel. How are you doing this? Korath smiled as he answered. I learned something you never could, cousin. I learned that strength comes not from power alone, but from fighting for something greater than yourself. But the victory came with a terrible cost. As Elena celebrated with the crew, she overheard a conversation between Korath and Dr. Chen that made her blood freeze. You need to know the truth, Dr. Chen was saying. Elena doesn't know yet, but the refugee ship was carrying more than just survivors. We had data crystals with us, information about Earth's defense plans, strategic locations, military codes. Korath's expression grew cold. What are you saying? I'm saying that your rescue of our ship was not just an act of mercy, Dr. Chen replied. Whether you knew it or not, you gained access to intelligence that could help you destroy what remains of humanity's outer colonies. Elena felt the world spinning around her. She realized now why Korath had been so interested in her, why he had saved the refugees. It was not just curiosity about human emotions. It was intelligence gathering, military strategy she had been used. All her lessons about compassion and understanding had been part of a larger plan to study human weaknesses. The rescue operation had been cover for intelligence operation. Elena backed away from the conversation, her heart breaking. Everything she had believed about Korath's change of heart was a lie. She was not his teacher. She was his spy, whether she knew it or not. That night, Elena made a decision that would change everything. She gathered the human refugees in the cargo bay and explained what she had learned. The faces around her filled with anger and betrayal. We have to escape, Dr. Chen said. Take one of the captured ships and run. Where would we go? Asked one of the refugees. Earth has abandoned us. The Zephyrians control this entire sector. We find a way, Elena said firmly. We always find a way. That's what humans do. But as Elena prepared to lead the refugees in an escape attempt, she could not stop thinking about the look in Korath's eyes when he had saved that little girl during the rescue. Had that been fake too? Had his gentleness with the refugees been an act? She thought about the way his crew had changed over the past weeks, how they had learned to see humans as people instead of enemies, how they had risked their lives to save refugees they barely knew. Maybe Korath's original motives had been military. But could someone fake the kind of growth she had seen in him? Could someone pretend to learn about love and compassion so convincingly? Elena paused in her escape preparations. She realized she was facing the most important decision of her life. Did she trust what she had seen in Korath's actions, or what she had heard in Dr. Chen's words? The answer to that question would determine not just her own fate, but the fate of every human and Zephyrian aboard the Void Hunter, and possibly the fate of both their species. Outside the ship, the stars waited silently for her choice. Elena stood in the docking bay, watching the human refugees board the captured Zephyrian transport ship. In 2 hours, they would attempt to escape while Korath was in a strategy meeting with his senior officers. It was the perfect opportunity, but Elena felt no joy in their escape plan. Her heart was heavy with doubt and confusion. Was she making the right choice? Was Korath truly the manipulative enemy she now believed him to be? Elena, Dr. Chen approached her with concern in his eyes. You look troubled. Are you having second thoughts? I keep thinking about something, Elena said quietly. If Korath's kindness was all an act, why did he risk everything to save us? He could have gotten the military information from you without rescuing 300 people. Dr. Chen paused. Perhaps his motives started as military but changed along the way. People can change, Elena, even aliens. Before Elena could respond, alarms began blaring throughout the ship. But these were not battle alarms. These were arrival alerts. Someone was requesting permission to dock. All refugees remain in the docking bay, came Korath's voice over the communication system. Elena Vasquez, report to the bridge immediately. Elena exchanged looks with Dr. Chen. Had their escape plan been discovered? With growing dread, she made her way to the bridge. When Elena arrived, she found the bridge buzzing with activity. On the main screen, she could see a massive fleet of ships approaching. But these were not Zephyrian vessels. They were human ships, Earth Federation battleships flying the blue and white flag of humanity. 37 ships, reported the sensor officer, including 6 heavy dreadnoughts. They are demanding the immediate return of all human prisoners. Elena's heart leaped. Earth had not abandoned them after all. A rescue fleet had come to save the refugees. But then she saw Korath's expression, and her joy turned to fear. They are also demanding my surrender for war crimes, Korath said quietly. It seems your government considers me personally responsible for every human death in this sector. General Vex stepped forward. Sir, we should prepare for battle. We cannot hope to win against such numbers, but we can die with honor. No, Korath said firmly. There will be no battle. Elena, your people have come for you. You are free to go. Elena stared at him in shock. Just like that? You're going to let us go? What would be the point of fighting? Korath asked. I cannot win against such numbers, and I will not risk the lives of my crew or your people for my own pride. But they want to execute you, Elena protested. If you surrender, you'll die. Korath smiled sadly. Perhaps that is what I deserve. I have done terrible things in the name of my empire. If my death can buy peace between our peoples, then it is a worthy sacrifice. Elena felt her world tilting. This was not the behavior of a manipulative enemy. This was the behavior of someone who had learned the true meaning of sacrifice, someone who would give his life to protect others. You've changed, she whispered. Yes, Korath said simply. You taught me to change. You showed me that there are things worth dying for, things more important than victory or power. The communication system crackled to life. This is Admiral Morrison of the Earth Federation Fleet. You have exactly 1 hour to transfer all human prisoners and surrender yourself for trial. Failure to comply will result in the destruction of your vessel. Elena closed her eyes. In that moment, everything became clear. She had been preparing to abandon Korath just when he needed her most. She had been ready to betray the person who had saved her life and shown her that even enemies could become friends. I'm not going, she said suddenly. Everyone on the bridge turned to stare at her. Korath's golden eyes widened in surprise. Elena, he said softly, this is your chance to go home, to return to your family. To be free, I am free, Elena replied. For the first time in my life, I'm truly free. Free to choose my own path. Free to fight for what I believe in. And I believe in you, Korath. I believe in what we've built here. She turned to address the bridge crew. Look around you. Humans and Zephyrians working together, learning from each other. Protecting each other. This ship has become something amazing. Something the galaxy has never seen before. Commander Krell stepped forward. Dr. Vasquez is right. I have learned more about honor and duty in these past weeks than in all my years of military service. I will not abandon that now. One by one, other crew members voiced their agreement. Even General Vex, who had opposed Elena from the beginning, nodded his support. What are you suggesting? Korath asked. Elena took a deep breath. I'm suggesting we stop running. Stop fighting. Stop letting others make our choices for us. You said you wanted to understand what humans fight for. Well, we fight for the right to choose our own destiny. You want to negotiate, Korath realized. I want to do something better than negotiate, Elena said. I want to show them proof that cooperation between our species is possible. I want to stand beside you as an equal partner and demand that both our governments recognize what we've accomplished. Korath stared at her for a long moment. Then slowly he began to smile. It was not his old predatory grin. It was something warmer, something hopeful. Open a channel to the Earth Fleet, he ordered. The main screen flickered to life, showing Admiral Morrison's stern face. The human admiral was a graying man with hard eyes and a military bearing that spoke of decades of warfare. I am Admiral Morrison. You will surrender immediately or... The admiral stopped speaking when he saw Elena standing beside Korath. Dr. Vasquez, are you injured? Are you under duress? No, Admiral, Elena replied calmly. I am here by choice, and I have something to show you that will change everything. What followed was the most important conversation in galactic history. Elena introduced Admiral Morrison to the human refugees who had been saved by Zephyrian mercy. She showed him footage of humans and aliens working together during the rescue operation. She explained how Korath's crew had risked their lives to protect human civilians. This is impossible, Admiral Morrison said when Elena finished. Zephyrians don't show mercy to humans. They certainly don't risk their lives to save us. That's what I thought too, Elena replied. But I was wrong. People can change, Admiral. Even alien people. Even enemies. Dr. Chen appeared on screen beside Elena. Admiral, I can confirm everything Dr. Vasquez has said. This ship has become a model for peaceful cooperation between our species. It would be a crime to destroy it. Admiral Morrison looked troubled. Even if what you say is true, I have orders. This alien is responsible for the deaths of thousands of humans. He must face justice. Then let him face justice, Elena said. But not Zephyrian justice or human justice. Let him face the justice of a new kind of court. A mixed court of humans and Zephyrians working together to build a better future. Korath stepped closer to the camera. Admiral Morrison, I do not ask for mercy. I ask only for the chance to prove that cooperation between our peoples is possible. Let this ship become a symbol of what we can accomplish together. The negotiation that followed lasted for hours. Elena found herself serving as translator between two very different ways of thinking. She helped Admiral Morrison understand Zephyrian honor culture. She helped Korath understand human concepts of justice and democracy. Finally, they reached an agreement. The Void Hunter would be converted into a joint research station. Humans and Zephyrians would work together to explore new worlds and new technologies. Elena would serve as the first human ambassador to the Zephyrian military. Korath would serve as the first Zephyrian to achieve equal rank in an integrated command structure. This is highly irregular, Admiral Morrison warned. Earth's government will not approve easily. Then we'll prove to them that it works, Elena said. One day at a time. One successful mission at a time. One life saved at a time. 6 months later, Elena stood on the observation deck of the newly renamed ship Harmony. Through the massive windows, she could see the joint human Zephyrian colony they had helped establish on the planet below. Korath joined her at the window. In the months since their agreement with Earth, he had changed even more. The fierce warrior was still there, but it was tempered now with wisdom and compassion. "Do you ever regret your choice?" he asked. "You could have gone home to Earth, to your family." Elena smiled. "I did go home. I found a new kind of family here. Humans and Zephyrians who chose to work together instead of fighting each other. On the planet below, human and Zephyrian children played together in the colony's central park. The sight would have been impossible just a year ago. Now it was becoming normal. You know," Elena said thoughtfully, "I still remember that day you found me crying in the rain. I was so broken, so hopeless. I thought my life was over, and now?" Korath asked. "Now I know it was just beginning," Elena replied. "Sometimes the worst moments in our lives are actually doorways to something better. We just have to be brave enough to walk through them." Korath nodded. "You taught me that bravery comes in many forms. Sometimes it means fighting. Sometimes it means choosing not to fight. Sometimes it means opening your heart to someone you were taught to hate." Elena looked up at the alien who had become her closest friend and partner. "What happens next?" "Next," Korath said, "we continue building bridges. The galaxy is vast, Elena. There are many species who still see each other as enemies. Our work has just begun."